Hey guys, I'm Casey. This is my amazing husband Mark. And today's video is going to be about things you should do and things you shouldn't do when you are in a relationship with a Filipino or Filipina. And honestly, guys, a lot of these things you could apply to any relationship. But there are a few at first I thought was just a me and Mark thing. But then after talking to other international couples and watching other couples' YouTubes, I realized a lot of it is a Western Philippine difference. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So stick around.
I will be your honeycomb now to forever. I know this love was meant to be. Video chats every day would pave the way for us. Oh my baby boy, I love you so much. Ooh, I love you so much.
Okay, so first we're going to talk about the things you shouldn't do. And like I said, a lot of these can be applied to any relationship, whether you're both Filipino, both from the West, or, you know, Filipino and a Westerner. But this one is definitely targeted towards international couples. And I have learned this, and this is one of those things I thought was a Mark thing, but then I realized it's a Filipino thing. And that is, don't use sarcasm to tease them, because in the West, we use sarcasm a lot. Some people, it's like their love language.
I just realized that my love language is being a little sarcastic bitch.
But in the Philippines, they take everything you say literally and seriously, and they think you mean exactly what you say.
You don't have to be a sarcastic bitch about it, okay?
Like, for example, and there was no argument or anything like that, but this is something that I said as a joke, and Mark would. I don't really think he took it serious, but he didn't think it was as funny as I did. But he was like acting goofy and acting silly, and I made the remark, "We should have dated longer."
Very poor choice of words.
And oh, I have zero regrets about marrying Mark. I love my husband so much. I would marry him 100 times over.
Aw, that's sweet.
But I said it as a joke. But anyways, sarcasm is not a big thing in the Philippines. Okay, second, and honestly, guys, this is kind of like a no-brainer in any relationship, but don't flirt with other people.
Don't ever do that to me.
But I think in this case, they're meaning innocent kind of flirting, because here in the West, especially in the US at least, like, we will go to a grocery store, and after we pay for our groceries and we go to leave, they will say, "Thanks, hon, come back again." Or sometimes we say, "Thanks, sweetie, have a good day." And we do not mean it in a flirting way, but if you are with a Filipina or a Filipino, they don't like you calling somebody else sweetie or honey or anything. And I volunteer at a couple bingo places and work with some elderly people. I do that a lot. I'll say, "How many do you need, hon?" Like that kind of thing. But in the Philippines, when you're visiting, don't do that. Okay, this one can be controversial because Filipinos are pretty jealous. I'm not saying all Filipinos, of course, and in any of this, I don't mean all Filipinos or Filipinos or anybody from the Philippines, but it is a large majority. And like I said, I watched different people's YouTubes and things like that, and I realized that it's not just my relationship, but it seems to be like a lot of international relationships go through this. But Filipinos are pretty jealous partners. But the big thing is, they're more jealous of other Filipinos.
But shh, don't tell nobody.
And I totally get it, because my husband obviously knows that I was on a dating group for Western people and Asian people. So he don't really worry about Western people. And he's not really that jealous anyways, to be honest, guys. But if I was to say he ever got jealous, it would have been over other Filipinos. And I get that because, we're in the process of getting him here to the States. And a part of me realizes that once he's here and everybody's from the West, I'm not going to be special anymore, which me and Mark, our relationship's built on love, and I know his morals and values. So that is not something I am worried about at all.
Well, good for you.
But I am going to make a video about it soon because some people seem to think when you bring your Filipina or Filipino to the West, they change, yada, 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 assumptions, which is another video, oddly enough. But anyways, sorry about my voice, guys. I've been fighting allergies and laryngitis for a few weeks now. So if you are in the LGBTQ plus community, or even if you're straight, basically, if you're gay, no same-sex Filipino friends, and if you're straight, no opposite sex friends. And honestly, here in the West, it's kind of it's different if they've had a friend from childhood or something. That's different. But if you're talking to another person online, the same sex as your partner, and you just met them or you just made friends with them, that's not going to fly. And to be honest, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I don't want my husband talking to any other Westerners. Like, I'm the more jealous and possessive in our relationship, though.
Why you so obsessed with me? Boy, I wanna know.
But I get that. I do get that one. So don't do it, guys. But like I said, even in the West, we don't like our husbands and wives to go, like, they're not going to go hang out with somebody they just met that is, if it's a man, if it's a woman, that's not normal. And if it's a gay guy, you shouldn't be meeting new. I mean, you guys get it. Anyways, don't give money to other Filipinos without telling your partner, especially without telling them. But this even goes for their family, friends. Like, just don't do it. Which, I mean, that's just a lot of these guys. Come on. If you're a good partner, none of these should be an issue for you. But, like, let's say you do have a friend that's in the Philippines and their electric's going to get turned off or something and you want to send them money. Okay, but don't do it behind your partner's back. Don't ever do anything like that because it's not going to fly when they find out. That's for sure.
I don't think we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're not gonna make it.
And I think this rule, this next one, should apply to any relationship. But don't talk about your exes.
No, don't like that.
I mean, maybe if they ask certain questions. I know me and Mark have talked about my exes because I honestly had some trauma because of an ex, and Mark totally understands that. Luckily, I'm Mark's first actual relationship, first boyfriend, first kiss. So, I mean, I've asked him about some people he talked to, but yeah, just don't go on about your exes. You shouldn't do that in any relationship. So, I don't know why that's even in here. And guys, I looked this up online, things to do and not to do if you're dating a Filipino, and these were the rules, so-called rules. So, okay, also, a lot of times, us as Westerners, when we argue, even if it's family, especially if it's family, if you're siblings or something, and you argue, we have a tendency of raising our voices. And sometimes if we're super angry, we even cuss or say things we shouldn't in the heat of the moment.
Do not raise your voice to me, sir.
But, like I said, you shouldn't do that in any relationship. But unfortunately, it does happen. But in the Philippine culture, when they get upset about something, it's the opposite. They go quiet.
Do you speak?
There's actually a word for it. I have Mark put it here. But they go silent. until they've cooled off, thought about it, they're ready to talk. They don't really explode. Although, like I said, this don't go for every Filipino, because I know I've been on the phone with my husband and heard like, ah, and it was his neighbors fighting.
Can I get a waffle? Can I please get a waffle?
And I don't know if y'all watch 90 Day Fiance, but Brandon, unfortunately, was yelling and cussing at Mary, and she yells back, and the neighbors heard. Her grandpa was embarrassed, saying they're embarrassing the whole family. And yeah, so that's something, just don't do that in any relationship. Try to cool off, have a conversation. Don't lose your temper, basically.
All of y'all!
Okay, so let's talk about family affairs. Your other half may come to you from time to time and talk about their family issues or family drama or things like that. And this doesn't mean they want you to get involved. They probably just want you to listen. They might want your opinion or something like that. So if you're asked, give it. But they do things different there in the Philippines. Basically, don't tell your Filipino partner, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and your mom should have done this, your mom should have done that. Like,
You're not my dad!
it's better to just listen and don't get involved, because the Philippines is all about family. So really, no matter what happens, they're always going to be there for each other. And if you get involved, there's just going to be some friction between you and the family. And that just shouldn't happen. And that is something I've learned in my personal relationship, is like one time in the very, very, very beginning, me and Mark had some kind of minor disagreement. I mean, I don't even remember what it was about now. But I had talked to one of my best friends about it. And I told Mark I did, and that this is what they said, and that really upset him, because he does not talk about our negative issues or problems to anyone, because he don't want them to get a bad opinion of me, and then me and him be fine, but they still have this opinion. So that is very much a Philippine thing, and I think that would help a lot of couples. If you don't go running to your mom saying, he did this and he did that, but then you're fine the next day, but your mom's still mad because he did this and he did that. And yeah, so keep it to yourself. Okay, so that is it for the don'ts on this list. And honestly, I believe all couples, no matter if they're with somebody from the east, somebody from the west, they can benefit from these things. Okay. And the do's are a little bit sweeter, guys, so don't worry. First off, giving titles. My husband has always called me Honeycomb, and I call him babe, baby, baby boy, something in that effect. But Filipinos love titles and nicknames. Like, I've heard Mark's family call him different things. They have a word because he's the second son, uncle, things like that. They are not like us in the West, where everybody just calls me Casey. I think I'm the only person I've ever heard called Mark Mark. I've heard him be called Tito, maybe Nico, something like that, and then Vincent, and yeah, anyway, they love titles. And if you have a spouse in the Philippines, whether your husband or the wife, the word is asawa. And that's something that I want to start practicing. So when I'm there, and we done it as a joke my last trip, I was like, asawa. We were at the beach, and I was just trying to embarrass him, but it didn't work, because he was like, asawa, right back. But I do want to start calling him asawa. I hope I'm saying that right, guys. Probably butchering it. But, if you're at the flea market and you're like, asawa, do you want this? It lets everybody around know that's your spouse.
Woo! I'm married, bitches!
And that you're proud of them. So I get it. It's sweet. I like that one.
Love is in the air.
Okay, and I want to put this second and third one together, because one of them is enjoy the small things, and then the other one is remember the little things. So I'm just going to squish this one together. basically, luckily, I have a partner that's understanding because I do have kind of a bad memory, especially like short term things. Like I forget, but once you say something, I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of thing. But you know what, guys? Some of the best memories and happiest times that I've had with my husband or I've had in the Philippines are activities that were at places either free or very cheap or just spending time together. But it is the little things. It's remembering their favorite foods and their favorite color and the kind of movies or music they like. It's those things. And the more you remember, the better it is. And vice versa. The more they remember about you, the better. Mark and myself, like, we know each other pretty well. I can say, like, it's gotten to the point where I can almost predict what he's going to say anymore before he says it. So, but I love that. I love that it's who he is.
Guess what? I love you. I love you. I love you.
So, okay, next. Show your partner you value them and that you value their opinion and don't make like any big decisions on your own without asking. And like I said, a lot of these could be applied to any relationship, not just if you're with a Filipino. If you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be making big decisions without discussing it with your partner, anyways. So it's on the list, but yeah, it's true. But I know in some cases, it's not that Filipinos are submissive or anything like that. It's just they value their husband and trust him enough to make the right decisions. It's not that they don't give their opinions and things like that. So, communicate, show them that you value them. And because Mark's very, very intelligent and he's right 99% of the time, even when he's not, guys. I'm kidding. Anyways, I don't really understand this one. Maybe it's a Filipino thing, but it says always go when you're invited. And maybe it's rude if you don't, but I'm assuming it means like if your family or friends invite you somewhere, you should go because it's rude if you don't. But I guess I've never really ran into this one personally because we have went every time we've been invited by family or friends. So yeah, and honestly, like when we fixed Western food at Mark's apartment and invited his siblings, they came. So maybe it's a Filipino thing. They came. They're usually late, but they come. Filipinos are always late. They have their own time.
I just don't believe in being on time.
Okay, and this next one, guys, it shouldn't even be an issue unless you're just an asshole, to be honest. But it says always be nice to friends and family of your Filipino or Filipina. But I guess I'm lucky because I've always been treated good by Mark's family and friends. So this isn't something that I've had to think about. But maybe it's meaning kind of like the subject we talked about before. Like maybe somebody borrowed money and didn't pay it back. And it's saying don't be rude to them because of that, because they're still family. Like, anyways, that's all I want to say about that one. But making plans for the future together and keeping your promises. Okay, so me and Mark from the very beginning started talking about the future that we each wanted, and that's when we realized that we wanted the same thing. And, that's one of the things that brought us together. And I can honestly say that we have both kept our promises. We've both been working very, very hard just to even make this relationship be a good one. Because, as you guys know, it's been a long distance relationship, but we've never missed a day of talking. We've never missed a good night. Even if I had to get like a phone call at 2 in the morning just to say good night because the internet was out there or something like that. Like, it's the effort, like you got to put in that effort. And like I said, this should go for any relationship. But yeah, me and Mark are trying very hard to make our dreams come true, make them a reality. Okay, the next one is make them feel safe. And I think this means not only like literally feel safe, like you can protect them, but make them feel safe in your relationship. Never make them feel like they're an option or anything like that, because let's face it, guys, you wouldn't like that. Like, I want to feel safe and secure in my relationship. I don't want to have doubts. And I'm blessed that I don't. And that's why, like the video I mentioned I was going to make earlier, it's because I hear a lot of things about when someone from the Philippines comes to the West, they end up divorced or they move on, but honestly, 99% of the people I know, they've stayed together. I personally don't know any international couples that split up. Most of them's been together for like 20 years. So I know me and Mark married because we love each other. We want the same future. I have no fears because he makes me feel safe. And I hope I make him feel safe. I think I do. That should go for any relationship. You should always make the person you love feel loved. Period. Okay, and this last one, guys, it says, always act proud to be with them. This one made me think a little because, as you guys know, people have assumptions, especially if it's like a 22-year-old woman, 62-year-old man. They're like, is she just with him for money, for a green card? Those assumptions, which I'm also going to make a video about. But people have those assumptions. So, in a way, I kind of think this goes more for the people in the Philippines. When I go visit Mark, I know he's proud to have me as his husband. He knows I'm proud to have him as my husband. I guess from where I'm from, an older generation, I get a little nervous holding hands like in the mall, things like that. But I'm working on that. That's a personal thing. But we went to an amusement park and we walked around holding hands there, and it was sweet. And at his graduation, we held hands. But basically, this one goes both ways. Walk down the street holding hands, hold your head up high, and let your partner know that you value them.
That's love!
Because you guys know what's between the two of you. And hopefully, if you're blessed like I am, it'll be love. So don't pay attention to what other people think, which, that's not just a Philippine thing. That's a Western thing. A lot of people care too much about what other people think. But yeah, just let your partner know you're proud to be with them. But anyways, guys, I'm about to lose my voice and I apologize. But that's going to be it for this video. Sorry that I missed a couple weeks. Like I said, I was a little under the weather and going through some things, some personal things, but I will do my best to get back to the weekly upload like it should be. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video because I'm about to lose my voice, but you guys stay safe, stay blessed, and bye-bye.